Good evening, everybody. Thank you for attending this meeting of the Licensing Act 2003 Subcommittee on Wednesday, the 2nd of August 2023. My name is Councillor Matthew Lynch, and I am the Chair of the Licensing and Public Safety Committee and also the Chair of this subcommittee. Before we start, I would just like to outline some housekeeping rules. There are no planned fire alarms, so if an alarm does sound, please leave via the nearest exit. And please, can I also ask for all mobile phones to be switched off? Please note this meeting is being recorded and live streamed via Chorley Council's YouTube channel. To facilitate this, can I request that when you are speaking, you use the microphone in front of you, which can be activated by pressing the button on the right-hand side. Once you are finished speaking, please ensure that this is turned off. I will now ask everyone to make their introductions, starting on my right-hand side.
Good evening, Councillor Michelle Lamarinelle, Vice Chair.
Good evening, Councillor Deidre Moss.
Good evening, Tracy Brzozowski, Customer Services Manager for Enforcement.
Good evening, my name is Nathan Howson. I'm the Licensing Team Leader for Chorley Council.
Good evening, I'm Jason Milton representing Lancashire County Council Trading Standards.
Good evening, PC Connolly, Police Licensing.
Pravita Singh. Good evening, my name is Glenn Smith, Solicitor Representative for Mr Pravita Singh.
Good evening, Carol Asprey, Democratic and Member Services Officer.
Alex Jackson, Legal Officer.
Thank you. We also have IT support in the corner from Dan. I will now formally commence the meeting and move to the agenda. Apologies.
No apologies, Chair.
Agenda item number 1, declarations of interest. If a member has a pecuniary interest, they must withdraw from the meeting. Normally, you should leave the room before the business starts to be discussed. You do, however, have the same right to speak as a member of the public and may remain in the room to enable you to exercise that right and then leave immediately. In either case, you must not seek to improperly influence a decision on the matter. Does anybody have any declarations of interest? If you do feel that you do, please at any time do declare them. Item 2, procedure. You will have a copy, a laminated copy of the procedure in front of you, hopefully, Mr Smith and Mr Singh. Yep. The hearing will proceed as follows. The committee will first decide whether to allow persons specified under Regulation 8 notice permission to speak. Then our licensing officer, Nathan Howson, will outline the application and any relevant representations. Questions to the licensing officer from committee members, the applicant, responsible authority, in this case Trading Standards, and the premises licence holder. At this point, the committee will hear representations from the applicant for review, PC Connolly, questions to the applicant for review from committee members, responsible authority and licence holder. The committee will then receive representations from the responsible authority, Mr Middleton from Trading Standards, questions to the responsible authority from committee members, the applicant for the review, and then the premises licence holder. The committee will then receive representations from the licence holder. Questions to the licence holder from committee members, the applicant for review, and responsible authority. I will then invite the applicant for review, responsible authority, and the premises licence holder to sum up in turn if they wish. The public and any other persons or officers who do not directly support the committee will then be excluded from the meeting at this point as we enter deliberations, and the YouTube stream will end. Following deliberations, we will request that the licence holder re-enter the meeting so that I can deliver our decision. The licence holder, applicant for review and responsible authority will be issued with a detailed notice of decision within 5 working days after the hearing. Everybody clear on the procedure? Therefore, I go to item 3, application for review of the premises licence, Greenwood's General Store, 88 Seymour Street, Chorley. The committee do need to consider whether to allow persons specified under Regulation 8 notice permission to speak. Nathan, have there been any requests?
Yeah, thanks, Chair. There's been no request. Everybody who's in attendance is entitled to speak. Thanks.
Thank you. Therefore, we go to determination of application to review premises licence. And Nathan, can you set out what you need to say? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. As you set out, this is the reason for this review. This hearing is as there's been an application for the review of a premises licence has been made. That's by Lincoln Constabulary in respect of Greenwood's General Store, 88 Seymour Street. It's for the subcommittee to determine the application in accordance with the provisions of the Licensing Act. I'll start on agenda page 6 in a paragraph 8 of the report if members want to follow on. The premises has benefited from a premises licence since the old Justice's licence was converted. It's been transferred and the DPS varied a number of times since that initial licence was granted. Most recently then, the licence was transferred into the current licence holder's name. That was on the 13th of February 2019, and at the same time he became the designated premises supervisor. There's a copy of the current premises licence which is appended at Appendix 1 of the report. The premises itself is an end terrace property and it sits on the corner of the junction of Seymour Street with Brighton Street, and Seymour Street joins Eves Lane, close to the Lions Lane roundabout. It's surrounded on all sides by high density residential properties, and you'll find that there's a plan view of the premises appended at Appendix 2. Moving then to the application, on the 13th of June 2023, an application for the review of the premises licence was received from PC Connolly on behalf of Lancashire Constabulary. You'll see there's a copy of that application at Appendix 3, and it's concerned with the licence and objectives of the prevention of crime and disorder and the protection of children from harm being undermined at the premises. The grounds for the review are as follows. The premises has failed 2 test purchases of age-restricted products in recent weeks, and that a trimming knife was sold to a 13 and 15-year-old test purchasers on the 17th of May, and alcohol was then sold to a 16 and 17-year-old test purchaser, or to 2 test purchasers on the 2nd of June, both of this year. The application was advertised in accordance with the regulations, and a notice was displayed at the premises. There was a notice displayed at the council offices, and the application was published on the council's website. That's for the whole of the 28-day consultation period. During that period then, and on the 3rd of July, there was additional documentation provided by PC Connolly, and that comprises a report and various appendices, including a witness statement, an image of the premises, some body-worn footage of the alcohol test purchase, and then of the subsequent visit which occurred on the 2nd of June. There's an additional appendix which includes a number of proposed conditions which the police propose be imposed on the licence. You find all of those documents appended at Appendix 4. There is some body-worn footage which is available. I think perhaps we'll leave that for PC Connolly to deal with in his oral evidence. Following that then, on the 11th of July, there was a representation received from Jason Middleton, a Principal Officer of Lancashire Trade Standards. This representation again relates to the prevention of crime and disorder and the protection of children from harm objectives, and you'll find a copy of that representation at Appendix 5. At paragraph 17, you'll find comments from the monitoring officer, and at paragraph 18, talks about the options available to you as a committee. The decision should be based on the individual merits of the application and the representations, and you must make a decision within the period of 5 working days, which begin on the day or the last day on which the hearing was held. In accordance with Section 52 of the Act, the authority must, having regard to the application, any representations made, take such steps, if any, as it considers appropriate for the promotion of the licensing objectives. And those steps are to modify the conditions of the licence, and that includes altering, omitting or adding any condition, to exclude a licensable activity from the scope of the licence, to remove the designated premises supervisor, that's the person responsible for alcohol at the premises, to suspend the licence for a period not exceeding 3 months, or ultimately to revoke the licence. And where the subcommittee decides to take any of the steps at A or B of the preceding paragraph, you may provide that they only take effect for a period not exceeding 3 months, as you may specify. Chair, that's the report, unless there are any questions. Thanks.
Nathan, do you want to leave it for the police to describe what a trimming knife is, or do you want to?
Yeah, I think possibly between police or trained standards, they'll probably touch on that.
That's fine. Any questions from the committee?
Do we actually have images of the knife that was sold?
We do not, Chair.
Any further questions? No? Okay, no worries. Any questions for Nathan? Any questions? No? Mr. Smith? No. It is Mr. Smith, isn't it? Do apologise. Okay. Therefore, can I ask PC Connolly to make your representations?
Thank you, Chair. Touched by Mr Howson was just a brief summary of the geographical build of the area that Greenwood's General Store is situated in. I think it's worth noting that within less than half a mile from that premises there are 3 schools. That's quite relevant given the concerns over protection of children from harm. Effectively, there's very little history that we have for the premises. It was subjected to a knife test purchase as part of Operation Sceptre back in 17th of May 2023. This is the first time the premises was subjected to a test purchase whilst it was under the control of Mr Singh. During that, Mr Singh himself was the cashier, I'm told, and he sold a trimming knife to a 13 and a 15-year-old child during that test purchase. A trimming knife, I've always grown up knowing it as a Stanley knife. It's a retractable fixed blade that can be pulled back in. Some of them are metal casings, some of them are plastic. In this scenario, I believe it was a plastic casing knife. There have been some people in the past say that it's only a trimming knife. The damage that can come from a trimming knife is actually quite serious. It's a locked blade. It can be very sharp. It can do very precise, very deep damage to skin if need be. After that, and I'm not going to steal Trading Standards thunder too much, I believe the premises were then visited by Trading Standards and a colleague of mine where advice was given. I heard about that on the 24th of May. On the 30th of May, I visited with Lancashire Trading Standards. There was some concerns over the legitimacy of some of the vodka behind the counter. A full inspection was carried out, and one of the members of staff advised that he'd done an online course in terms of age-related sales, but had no documentation or paperwork relating to that training. I'm sure Mr Middleton will touch on it more, but there were several bottles of vodka seized by Lancashire Trading Standards during that visit. On Friday the 2nd of May, just after midday, the premises was subject to a multi-agency alcohol test purchase. This was directly on back of the failure. There were a number of other premises in Chorley subjected to test purchasing that day. Premises failed and sold a 16 and a 17-year-old male, 16-year-old female and a 17-year-old male with 4 cans of Stella Artois lager. We then visited, and the staff member in question was issued with fixed penalty notice for £90. I think at that point it may be worth asking for the footage LC03. It's the covert footage from the test purchase.
It's cold here. I'm going on my own. I'm not going on my own. Out corner. You're doing this, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing it, you're doing it. Get some kiddies more.
No, I can take on. Maybe I can take on. Huh? You look like a bigger pick up. Anything else? Alright. You can't see the screen, so you don't know what the map is. What much to change?
I want everything.
Chair, although that footage is blurred, I think it gives you a bit of a feel as to what's happened on that day. Children have gone into the premises 16 and 17 years. To go into the premises, you have to pass the ash point. There's 2 aisles. If you go left, you will go to the confectionery before you can cut through, and the alcohol display is there. Staff could have seen anyone walking towards the alcohol aisle effectively. You see children giggling, talking, I'm not doing this, you're doing this. There's clearly a lot of nerves by the test purchasers that are doing that. On the footage, when it is unblurred, what I will say is the cashier doesn't even look at the test purchaser. He looks at the till, he passes the money and doesn't even make any sort of eye contact with our test purchaser. The sale goes ahead. After that, we then did an inspection and a follow-up visit, and that's captured on body 1 footage. If you could just play LC04, please.
Hello. Back again. You kind of know me.
What do you think? Didn't ask ID. Yeah, no. How old are they? How old do they look? Over the age? What age? 18? No, do challenge 25 here. No, we do, but they click on. That's why we're here. Yeah, no.
Chair, the clip will go blank for a short while just whilst there's confidential information being passed.
Is Pab the owner?
done a mistake. Don't want you dead.
Police, you might want to come out.
No. Fucking certain underage. I thought it was over the edge. I forgot to ID. What did you say? Forgot to over the edge.
Should we shut the shop so we can talk without customers coming in? For privacy reasons, realistically. Right. Have you got any ID with you? Thank you very much. Crikey, that's an old picture.
Yeah. 2017.
Couldn't grow a beard then, could you? Right. Be issued with a ticket. Okay.
It's fine.
Come on.
Chair, if you'd like, that clip can be ended now where there's not much particularly relevance there. It's me issuing a fixed penalty notice. What I will say about that clip is the cashier in question, at the start of that clip when I go in, he shouts Pav
Yeah,
to
if,
Mr. Singh. Pav, I've done what you've done.
Probably worth putting
He's
shut
clearly
down,
aware
because if
that the
people see
premises has
me in uniform
previously
studying,
failed
they're
the
just going
test
to be
purchase.
gawking, aren't they?
Yeah.
So, Chair, that brought about significant concerns to failed test purchases within such a short time period that any licensed premises is of a concern, especially when knives are involved as well as the alcohol. Effectively, Lancashire Constabulary have grave concerns that protection of children harm is not being adhered at the premises. I have asked for new conditions to be imposed on the licence today as part of your decision making, along with a 6-week suspension of the licence. My rationale for asking for that, Chair, is that it allows the licence holder to work towards some positive working in the future. It's not going to be hastily adopted business practices. It's going to give him time to make sure his staff are suitably trained. If you'd like, Chair, I can read through those conditions if it's easier.
No, members have had time to read those conditions. I'm satisfied that we can discuss that later.
Chair, that's the end of my presentation, and if you've got any questions, I will happily answer them. Thank you.
Yeah, just before I go to the committee, just a couple of questions for clarification. You refer to 16 and 17-year-old purchasing alcohol. Do you know who actually completed the transaction? Was that the 16-year-old male or...?
It was the 17-year-old male, Chair.
And would you agree that on the video there is absolutely no challenge for any kind of ID?
Absolutely no challenge, Chair. On the unredacted video, the cashier does not look at the test purchaser. I don't know if the till actually has a prompt that appears, but on the clip you will hear as he scans the lager, there is some sort of audible prompt. I don't know if that is asking for ID. I can't confirm.
And finally, I'm looking at the front of the store. It says Greenwood's off-licence and convenience store. Is it common for businesses like that to sell blades, Stanley blades like that, or is it?
They are quite a commonplace in many convenience shops, usually in displays with sewing equipment and bits and pieces like that.
Any questions?
In relation to the bladed article, are they actually out on shore? Are they behind a locked cabinet?
Council, I wasn't there for that test purchase, but I believe they were on a display towards the back of the shop that's just free access.
Sorry, just for point of clarity. So to get even to the bladed articles, they have to pass the same route as if they would for buying the alcohol, is that correct?
That's correct. There's no way to get to the back of the shop away from the service counter.
Anything further? No. Any questions, Mr. Middleton? Any questions, Mr. Smith? Right, Mr. Middleton, if you'd like to give your representations.
Thank you, Chair. I don't intend, obviously you've got a copy of my representations in front of you, I don't intend to go through them verbatim, but obviously very quickly, as you're aware, I'm representing Lancashire County Council Trading Standards. I'm part of the alcohol and tobacco team. One of the trading standards' many roles and responsibilities relates to relates to the sale of age-related products such as alcohol, tobacco, knives and e-cigarettes. We work with partners to ensure the best possible protection for individuals in our communities whilst educating residents and ensuring businesses are compliant and responsible. One way we do this to check compliance is by test purchasing, which is the use of young people for spot checks of businesses, which we do on quite a regular basis. It's very important to mention at this stage, we do test purchasing quite a bit. The test purchases are usually aged between 14 and 16, occasionally 17 is permissible. They are asked not to dress up, so they're not asked to make themselves look older than they actually are. They're asked to basically attend in normal gear that they would normally wear. Importantly, the test purchasers are told, if they're asked for their age, not to lie. So if they're asked, how old are you, they will tell the truth. They've also been told, if they get asked for ID, have you got any ID? Again, not to lie. If they've got no ID, they simply say, we have no ID. So those are what we brief our test purchasers on before they go into premises. That is what, if you don't lie, tell the truth. So that's important to remember. So obviously on the 17th of May, as part of a nationwide campaign, Operation Sceptre, which is obviously tackling knife crime, which is very prevalent and very topical at this moment in time. We carried out numerous test purchases of knives in the area. Obviously, we sent a 13 and 15-year-old test purchaser into Greenwoods, and as already been mentioned by PC Buckley, to the rear of the shop there is some racks with household stuff on there in packets, whether it's sewing kit, nails, and one of those contained, one of the racks contained trimming knives. And I know it's mentioned, it is like a Stanley knife, a plastic handle Stanley knife with blades which pop out your thumb. You use your thumb to pop them out and they snap off, and then you just use the next one. So that's what we call a trimming knife, and it's basically a plastic handled Stanley knife. So obviously 13 and 15-year-old test purchasers went into the store, selected the trimming knife, and sadly, they were sold the trimming knife by Mr. Singh, who is obviously the DPS of the business, and obviously should lead by example. A trading standards officer was present at the shop at the time and witnessed the sale take place. Immediately after the failed test purchase, the shop was revisited by trading standards and the police, and Mr. Singh was given relevant and proportionate advice, which included a knife pack, which I've got a copy of here if you want to see it. In it obviously mentions regarding knives under 18s, and it mentions check 25 there on numerous occasions. It mentions check 25 and the importance of, if they look under 25, ask them for ID. So that was on the 17th of May 2023, trimming knife sold to 13 and 15-year-old test purchasers by Mr. Singh. On the 25th of May 2023, an officer from Trading Standards test purchased a bottle of Gorlova vodka, I hope that's pronounced properly, The same day trading standards, Lancashire Police and Chorley Council licensing inspected the premises and 4 bottles of Gorlovka vodka and 3 bottles of AU vodka were seized from the shop due to the bottles possessing the wrong type of stamp duty on the product, indicating they were non-duty paid. 177 non-compliant e-cigarettes were also seized from a store, some from a box in the storeroom and some from underneath the counter. The vodka have both been analysed by the public analyst, and the AU vodka was found to contain less alcohol than declared on the bottle, which is in contravention of the Spirits Drinks Regulations 2008. On the 2nd of June 2023, a further test purchase operation was carried out, this time for alcohol. A member of staff sold 4 bottles of Stella to the 16 and 17-year-old test purchasers, which obviously you've already seen on the video footage. On this occasion, it wasn't the DPS, and obviously, as you've already heard, PC Connolly went in and issued a PND for the offence to the seller. In relation to the vodka which was seized, Mr Singh was interviewed under caution in July. He claimed to have purchased the vodka from a man who turned up in a shop in a white van offering him alcohol. And these cigarettes were purchased from a wholesaler in Cheetham Hill area of Manchester. Obviously, he was advised this is not a reputable source and not the way to go about running your business by buying stuff from people in vans. To his credit, Mr Singh, during the interview, was open and honest regarding what had gone on, so credit must be given for that. Since then, Mr Singh has claimed to have carried out additional staff training after the failed knife test purchase. He showed officers refusals book which had been used in the shop. The first entry was the 4th of June 2023. He said he did have a refusal recording system prior to this, but he didn't have this available to show the interviewing officers. So obviously, it is the opinion of Lancashire County Council Trading Standards that there's still the prevention of crime and disorder and protection of children from our licensing objectives are being disregarded at these premises in relation to obviously the two failed test purchasing and obviously the vodka and the e-cigarettes were at the business in question. And that ends my representation.
Questions from the committee?
A couple of questions. When you, I meant to ask this of PC Connolly, and I do apologise, but you say that there's 3 schools within the vicinity of Greenwoods. Do we know what age those schools are? Are we talking primary school or are we talking high school?
I believe it's a mixture of both. I think there was a secondary school and 2 primary schools. Thank you.
And also a question for Mr Middleton. Have we had the analysis back for the other vodka?
We haven't done those details down.
And sorry, another one from me. You state that Mr Singh said that he did have prior recording, refusal recordings, didn't have it available for interview. Has he produced that since?
Certainly to trading standards he hasn't, no. So the records we've got of refusals is from the beginning of June, after the test purchasing failures.
Yeah, I'll come, just one sec.
Pressing the wrong button. Yeah, I understand the, just in relation to your question, Councillor Marinel, the Gorlovka, if that's how you do pronounce it, it was safe from a public point of view, but it was non-duty paid, so smuggled vodka effectively. It was the AU one, which was there was questions about.
Mr Middleton, you refer to carrying out a series of test purchases on knives. Is this something that was random? Is this something that was part of a wider thing, or were you focusing on more intelligent-led or incident-led areas?
On this occasion, it was part of Operation Sceptre, nationwide campaign. Obviously, it was a case of checking compliance with businesses in relation to the sale of knives. So we had no intelligence regarding visiting Greenwoods at that time. It was basically a operation to check compliance, to make sure they were doing everything they should do in relation to making sure that under 18s didn't leave businesses and shops with knives.
Thank you. That's fine. It's fine. Councillor Malone.
Sorry, one more question from me. Since Mr Singh took over control of Greenwoods, there'd been no test purchases up until this point. Is there any particular reason why there's been no previous test purchases?
It's probably before my time, but we are intelligence-led in relation to our test purchasing. If we get intelligence regarding concerns regarding underage sales, we will test purchase. So I would suggest it's because we didn't have any particular intelligence prior to, after Mr Singh had taken over, regarding concerns and complaints regarding underage sales at that premises.
Any questions, PC Connolly?
Just one, please, Chair. In terms of the test purchasing, Mr Middleton, have Lancashire Trading Standards prosecuted Mr Singh at all, or was it dealt with another means?
It was dealt with the form of a warning letter to Mr Singh with details of how he can teach and staff training. There's links to Check 25, which is provided free of charge by Lancashire Trading Standards. So we've been given a letter, an official warning, with signposting towards portals where he can basically enhance his knowledge and his staff's knowledge regarding making sure that Check 25 is complied with.
Okay, thank you very much. Nothing. Mr Smith, any questions?
Chair, with the risk of being repetitive, I think the point that was made, it was what I was going to ask you, was in relation to intelligence led from 2000, I think it was February 2019 when Mr Singh became the DPS. There've been no concerns raised. I assume that information is given to the authorities which might lead them to believe that there are issues with certain premises, but during that period of just over 4 years, nothing has caused the trading standards or any other agencies, as far as you're concerned, any particular concern about Greenwoods.
From what I'm concerned, yes, that's correct, yes.
I'm grateful, thank you.
Chair, that's likewise for Lancashire Constabulary, no intelligence. Thank you.
I'm grateful.
Okay. Therefore, can I ask Mr Singh and Mr Smith to make their representations?
Chair, members, on behalf of Mr Singh, I was present during the process with the interview with Trading Standards very recently. I would also echo the fact that Mr Singh, and that was the first time I'd met him, but I'd spoken to him a number of times, and he was, I would say, open and honest with me, as he was, or he appeared to be, and the Trading Standards accepted that, and therefore I've conveyed that before the committee today. There were obviously significant issues that had arisen in a very short space of time, which raised particular concerns, and he did not at any time or in any detail try to shy away from that, and didn't try to pass responsibility to, on the occasion that the alcohol was the test purchase for the alcohol was made on the 2nd of June. He didn't try to pass responsibility to his employee, Mr Smith, I believe, Ivan Smith. He's the designated premises supervisor, and to that extent he understands fully that he is the person that takes full responsibility for anything that takes place in that store, and he accepts that on those occasions he fell significantly short of the standards, the high standards that are quite understandably exist and are expected of any designated premises supervisor. I would, and I'm sure the committee members would take note of both his honesty, the shortcomings, but also the fact that for a significant period of 4 years that he appears to have run the premises in a way compliant with the regulations at that time and continued up until the most recent incidents. I have nothing further to add at this stage, Chair.
Okay, we'll go to questions from committee. Firstly, I think it's only fair that the committee here some kind of explanation as to why it doesn't appear that any kind of challenge policy was in place, why certainly people that are under the age to purchase alcohol were not challenged, and particularly where a knife was sold. Again, I would just like some explanation really as to why Mr. Singh thought it was appropriate to sell that knife, why he thought it was appropriate not to ask for ID. I think that would be very useful for the committee.
Yeah, when the kids come to the counter, I did ask for the age, and then he did say he's a 16, but my mind completely gone blank, and then never asked for his ID, and I refused the sale, and that was it. It was a lot going on in the shop, and that was it.
Just for clarification, Mr. Singh, is this the occasion where you sold a knife?
Yeah.
So you're saying that you did ask for ID?
Ask for the age, how old are you? He did say he's 16, but then my mind gone just completely blank, and then I should have refused the sale there and then, asked for the ID, but I just didn't do it.
Okay. And as your role as the licence holder and the direct premises supervisor, can you just explain what training you give to your staff in regards to selling alcohol?
Before it was verbally, like say, check ID, no sales. Then after that, once the incident happened, put all the staff onto the 25 Challenger LancashireGovernment.com. So they had all the training onto their portals, and then they passed pretty much all of it, and then all got the certificates and give a refresher.
Okay. So can we have some confirmation from Trading Standards that when the knife was purchased, what Mr. Singh, is that what correlates to your information of what happened on that test purchase?
Obviously, one of the test purchases was 15, so why they would apply to 16, I have no idea. I'm not aware of the test purchaser being asked for the age.
I take on board your previous comments about the test purchaser being advised to be honest as well. You just confirm, Mr. Singh, you're absolutely sure that the test purchaser said they were 16?
I did ask for the age, but then he said 16, but then I didn't refuse the sales at that time. It should be 18. Then I wasn't aware that 18 has to be for the trimming knife. So I'd done the sales at that time.
Any questions? Councillor Moss.
To you to ask why he wanted that knife.
No, I didn't ask for it. Why did he want it? I did just ask for the age, and that's it.
Anything further? No. PC Connolly, any questions?
Yes, please, Chair. I'm just going to refer to the training documents that I received this morning as part of your representations. Chair, for clarity, I think they're already in your agenda, but it is certificates for the Lancashire County Council Check 25 training. Mr Singh, what was the thought process in not doing this training after the knife sale and waiting until the alcohol sale to train your staff?
It was when the knives happened, and then we just literally, the shopper was getting a refit all of it, and then he's all over thing everywhere, and didn't think about it at all.
Just a follow-up question to that, Mr Singh. Do you accept that if you'd have trained your staff after the knife sale, the likelihood of the alcohol test purchase failing would not have happened?
Yeah, if the staff would have gone to the Challenge 25, it would not happen now.
No further questions, Chair. Thank you.
Mr Middleton, any questions?
No questions from me, Chair. Thank you.
Yeah, go on.
On the additional paperwork that's been presented to us on the certificate, is it an oversight in the name because the name isn't spelt correctly? It says Pavita Song. Is that just a typo?
No, it should be Pavita Singh, S-I-N-G-H.
You may want to have a look at that then because it's actually in the name of Song, S-O-N-G-H.
Okay.
Can I... Right. In that case, can I ask PC Connolly to sum up, please?
Thank you, Chair. I will keep it brief. There's not much to say that's already been said. Ultimately, we've got premises that have clearly had failings here. There's been irresponsible trading. I'd respectfully request that because of that dishonest training, because of the criminal offences that have occurred at that premises, to suspend the licence, adopt the new conditions, give Mr Singh time to set those up and show to this committee that his premises can safely trade. Ultimately, I've not asked for revocation. I do not believe we're at revocation stage at this point. It's a business, it's got staff. Revocation is the most serious option, and I would not be asking for that at this time. Suspension, I think, is appropriate whilst those conditions are adopted and the premises become compliant. And I look forward to test purchasing the premises again and then passing. Thank you.
Mr Middleton, would you like to sum up?
Thank you, Chair. Just to reiterate what I've said by my colleague to my right here, test purchasing, we don't want premises to fail. We do not want under 18s leaving businesses premises with alcohol, with knives. That's all we request, and that's why a good, robust Check 25 with staff training, refusals, and everything is the right way to doing it. So we are disappointed. Obviously, these are two occasions under 18s have managed to leave Greenwoods with knives and with alcohol. Thank you, Chair.
Mr Singh, Mr Smith, would you like to sum up?
Chair, I'm grateful. I've read the report that was presented, the appendix, and I think page 29 and 30 contain a number of proposed additional conditions to the licence. I've discussed those with Mr Singh, in particular in relation to the proposed condition 3, the EPOS system. I believe he has, or he tells me, he has an existing system which, having spoken to the maintenance engineer, can be updated. The software is capable of being updated to comply with the particular requirements that are set out in the five conditions. Again, that is a matter that Mr Singh is dealing with. You've obviously heard in some detail about the particular incidents. My friend, Mr Middleton, refers to knives. I think, without being pedantic, there was I'm not deminimising in any way Mr Singh, through his honesty and the fact that he doesn't come here and is not tried to elaborate on why he didn't think properly. He said that the issue I would submit is for him to learn from mistakes that he's made and learn those as quickly as possible, because his livelihood and the livelihood of those people that he employs is in danger if he doesn't, and he fully understands that. I'm pleased to hear there have been no, I wasn't aware of this, but I'm pleased to hear, Chair and members, that there's been no intelligence or information that has come to the authorities prior to this. Again, that's not deminimising the immediacy and the failings, but during his supervision, during his DPS supervision, there's been nothing coming through to the authorities which had suggested prior to this that he was not compliant, and therefore it's a matter of proportionality. Learn from the serious failings that have occurred, train your staff, and ensure that you are compliant now if the committee decides that a period of suspension is appropriate whilst any new conditions, if that be the case, are compliant with the up-to-date regulations are established, and the authorities are satisfied that those were the case, because it's quite obvious that following any period, whatever that might be, and I understand that could be up to a period of 3 months. I'm not inviting that. I'm simply that was my understanding of the rules that could be adopted. The police, I know, are not asking for that. I don't know whether the period that is being asked for is proportionate to what has happened in the history of these premises. That obviously is a matter for the committee to decide in its deliberations later this evening. I don't have. It's not an issue of any whether there's any factual disputes. Mr Singh comes here with his head held low simply because he understands that he's failed on two very specific occasions, and he takes ultimate responsibility for that. And whatever the committee decide is appropriate and proportionate, he will comply with. Thank you, committee members.
So, just for clarity, Mr Smith, just setting any potential suspension aside, you are happy with the conditions put forward from PC Connolly?
Chair, I've discussed each of the proposed conditions. Condition 1, there is an existing CCTV system, but that can, if necessary, be upgraded to accommodate, to deal with the points that are raised and any other information displays, etc., that are required. He can and will comply with. The documented Challenge 25 scheme, you've heard representations in respect of that. Certain training has already been provided. I appreciate, and I did notice that, as your colleague, Ms Marinell, pointed out, that the name on one of the certificates was, I think, I can't say because I've not spoken to the issue of the certificate, but I can only imagine that that is a typographical error. It's not within the remit of Mr Singh to have not noticed it, but he was not in control of the production of that certificate. But it's clear that he and his staff have carried out relevant training in that respect. He's aware of the 4 required means of identification. The EPOS system I've discussed, that he has such a system and will liaise as necessary with the authorities, with the police, and with trading standards in terms of the compliance of that certificate. Again, point 4, commencement of the employment of members of staff. Ivan Smith is still in the employ of Mr Singh. He considered whether appropriate disciplinary action was necessary. His decision was that education and warning were the, again, appropriate and proportionate step to take. He's never had any problems with this individual before, so he felt that that was a proper, appropriate means of dealing with it. The incident log, yes, of course, in point 5 is something that he is maintaining and will provide to the authorities in to show compliance. Again, the point 6 is something that he understands the requirements, and keeping open and available records is something that he is fully conscious of. The condition 7, that item or those items have been removed, and he undertakes that those will never be sold in his shop again. Again, in summary, yes, he understands those conditions. He understands the proportionality and the relevance, and would comply with those conditions. Sir.
Thank you. For the information of the committee, it's the committee's responsibility to see fit where conditions may need to be added. I appreciate PC Connolly has suggested some conditions, but it's up to the committee to decide what conditions. I think it's fair that we make that public, and so you are aware that it is the committee's decision, and we will take on board comments made.
So, Chair, I'm aware of that. Simply, without extending, I make the detailed comment simply to say that Mr. Singh is aware and understands the need, if the committee feel that those conditions are appropriate in the circumstances, should be added to the premises licence.
Thank you. That's the end of the hearing, and we will go to decision making. Therefore, can I ask everybody who's not part of the decision making process to leave the room, and